It seems like most incidences today that occur becomes a great political battle between the Democrats and Republicans. A few weeks ago, sadly, a Supreme Court Justice Ginsburg has passed away, who was revered and honored by many Americans. Immediately after her passing, however, the Republicans in Senate, as well as Donald Trump, decided that they were going to do everything in their power to nominate and select a new Supreme Court Justice before the election, or at least before the next session of Congress comes into power in January. Mitch McConnell, a leading Republican senator, is leading the charge to replace the Supreme Court Justice before the election cycle. However, many Democrats oppose this, including and especially Joe Biden, who is a leading Democratic voice in 2020. However, it's also important to consider what constitutional lawyers say and experts in the issue say. Peter J. Eckerman argues that the Senate has every obligation and every right to have a hearing for any Supreme Court nominee set forward by the president, regardless of election year or not. It seems that in all of history, people in power want to keep their power and they also want to expand their power. This trend doesn't seem to escape the Republicans in Senate, especially Mitch McConnell, who is leading the charge to select and nominate a new Supreme Court Justice before the election year, as it will give Republicans more influence in the Supreme Court and thus in the federal government. He argues that the Republicans in Senate, or the Senate, has every right and obligation to select and nominate a new Supreme Court Justice and to have a hearing for any Supreme Court Justice set forward by Donald Trump, regardless of election year. He, according to NPR, or an article from NPR, they have more than enough time to select and nominate a Supreme Court Justice before the election year. When this process started, they had approximately 40 days before election day and approximately 100 days before the new session of Congress comes into power, which, according to Mitch McConnell, means that they have more than enough time to select and nominate and review a Supreme Court Justice nominee. He also argues that this election cycle was different from last election cycle, when he refused to have a senatorial hearing for nominee Garland, who was set forward by Barack Obama as a potential Supreme Court Justice. Because according to Mitch McConnell, and according to the NPR article, this year was different than 2016 because of 2016, the President and Senate belonged to two different parties, while this year, the Senate and President belong to the same party. And of course, if the Republicans argue one thing, Democrats argue the other thing. This is apparent with Joe Biden, the Democratic presidential candidate and a leading Democratic voice, who argues that Mitch McConnell's decision to do this is an abuse of power. And according to BBC, he wants to wait until the election cycle before the President and Senate selects and nominates and reviews a Supreme Court Justice. He wants this so that the American people have more say and influence in the next Supreme Court Justice nominee. His views are similar to Chuck Schumer's, a New York senator. According to NPR, Schumer argues that Republicans are hypocritical for refusing to have a hearing for Garland during the 2026 election, while allowing a senatorial hearing to proceed during this election year. These are just a few political figures in American government, and it is important to understand what the experts have to say on this issue. Peter J. Eckerman is one such expert, as he reviews and interprets constitutional law for the University of Pennsylvania. He argues that according to the Constitution, specifically Article 2, Section 2, the Senate is mandated to review any any Supreme Court justice nominee set forward by the president, regardless of election year or not. He argues in an article he wrote for the University of Pennsylvania Journal of Constitutional Law, where he interprets that Article 2, Section 2 basically says the Senate has to have a hearing for any Supreme Court justice nominee set forward by the president. And according to this logic, Eckerman argues that Mitch McConnell was wrong to refuse to have a hearing for the nominee set forward by President Obama during last election cycle because he acted unconstitutionally. And based on this logic, Mitch McConnell had every right and every power to have a senatorial hearing for President Trump's selection for a Supreme Court justice nominee during this election cycle. In conclusion, every single time something happens, anything happens in American politics or in American society, it becomes a great political battle between the Democrats and the Republicans. The Republicans in Senate want to select and nominate a new Supreme Court justice, and this charge is being led by Mitch McConnell, who argues that the Republicans in Senate have every single right to nominate and select a Supreme Court justice. Joe Biden, on the other hand, believes that the Senate should wait until after the election in order to select a Supreme Court justice. Peter J. Eckerman, a constitutional lawyer, argues something different. He argues that regardless of election year or not, the Supreme Court has every single right, or is mandated by the Constitution to review any Supreme Court justice nominee set forward by the president. However, regardless of your political beliefs, regardless of your interpretation of the Constitution, it's important to pay respects for any great American who has passed away.